Boeing 737 MAX, one of the most debated, headline-grabbing and transformative aircraft in recent aviation history. The story of the MAX is actually a striking and poignant tale about deep competition within Boeing and the industry, mistakes, and how even engineering can go off course due to human error. The foundation of the Boeing 737 MAX was based on the 737 series, which first entered service at the end of the 1960s and eventually became the world's most produced aircraft. The original 737 was designed as a modest, narrow-body, twin-engine, and fairly simple passenger plane. As the need arose to carry more passengers and serve longer distances, Boeing decided to further develop the 737. Thus, after the 737-100, models like the 737-200, 737-300, 737-400, 737-500, 737-500, 737-700, 737-700, and 737-700 were produced. Finally, the 737NG Next Generation series made a major impact on the industry. However, over time, modern and more fuel-efficient competitors, such as the Airbus A320neo, emerged. To maintain its market share and secure deals with more airlines, Boeing was compelled to design the 737 MAX. Boeing's goal was clear: to create a new aircraft with as few changes as possible so that pilot training, maintenance, and spare parts inventory would not require major modifications, while providing better fuel efficiency, lower operating costs, and increased passenger capacity. Ultimately, Boeing engineers aimed to achieve this by fitting larger, more efficient engines onto the 737 airframe, positioning them further forward and higher. Such radical changes had a significant impact on the aircraft's aerodynamics and balance. To make the plane more stable and easier to control, the MCAS, Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, was developed. MCAS was a software-based, largely independent system designed to automatically push the nose down when it rose too high, preventing stall. Boeing did not fully disclose this system to pilots, believing it would go largely unnoticed and not affect routine operations. However, the company had not yet realized the profound impact this decision could have on many lives. This design change initially seemed clever and effective. The new, larger engines offered greater fuel savings and extended range. Boeing wanted to implement the change with minimal need for additional pilot training and minimal adjustments to existing maintenance procedures. This formula, which would make purchase decisions easier, appeared very impressive and profitable at first. When Boeing began delivering the first versions of the 737 MAX in 2017, the aviation industry was quite hopeful. The aircraft's fuel efficiency, ease of operation, and increased capacity attracted many airlines. Carriers like United, Southwest, Ryanair, Norwegian, and Turkish Airlines competed to place hundreds of orders. Boeing's order books were filled with thousands of 737 MAX planes, shining in the dreams of companies aiming for cleaner, more efficient, and more profitable flights. However, this dream did not last long. In October 2018, the Lion Air crash marked the 737 MAX's first serious failure, claiming 189 lives. Following that, in March 2019, another crash involving Ethiopian Airlines resulted in the deaths of 346 more people. In both accidents, the MCAS system received faulty data and forcibly pushed the aircraft's nose down. Pilots struggled to respond, but could not regain control. As a result, all 737 MAX planes worldwide were grounded. Boeing stock plummeted, and public as well as aviation authority confidence was shaken. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, and EASA, European Union Aviation Safety Agency, demanded further tests and inspections. Boeing could no longer conceal its mistakes. The company revised the MCAS software and sensors and mandated more comprehensive and clearer pilot documentation and simulator training. Following the 737 MAX crisis, Boeing was forced not only to fix technical and software issues, but also to re-examine its corporate culture, processes, and communication methods. Tensions between the engineering department and management, risks taken to accelerate projects, and insufficient attention to pilot feedback all came to light. This deeply damaged Boeing's reputation, not only as an aircraft manufacturer, but also as a brand. The public and industry stakeholders focused on how Boeing would learn lessons regarding reliability and transparency. But the story of the 737 MAX was not just about problems. Thanks to the newly developed safety system, updated training programs, and tightened certification processes, the 737 MAX eventually returned to flight. Boeing worked closely with regulators worldwide to reinstate the aircraft into service. All safety details were verified through independent reviews. Airlines around the globe began placing orders again for this more efficient and economical aircraft. However, to sustain this success, Boeing had to look beyond the 737 MAX. While the industry concentrated on greener engine technologies, electric and hybrid planes, and even autonomous flight systems, Boeing faced a tough competition ahead. The 737 MAX crisis became a turning point not only for Boeing, but for all aviation stakeholders. It reminded the world of the critical importance of regulations, safety certifications, and production processes. Civil aviation authorities, especially the FAA, EASA, and other international bodies, enacted fundamental reforms in aircraft approval procedures. With more transparent, multi-layered, and independent inspections, safety standards were raised. Boeing did not just fight to overcome a crisis. The company reviewed its corporate structure and strengthened internal audit and quality control mechanisms. Engineering teams refocused on technology and innovation. Large portions of investment were redirected toward more reliable sensor systems, advanced flight control software, and pilot training simulators. Most importantly, Boeing underwent a transformation in its communication strategy. Transparency, crisis communication, and a user-focused approach became priorities. This opened a new chapter in relations, not only with customers, but also with the public and regulatory agencies. The lessons learned from the 737 MAX shaped Boeing's vision for the future. The company embraced alternative fuels and environmentally friendly engine technologies for sustainable aviation. With lighter materials and aerodynamic improvements, fuel efficiency increased in new generation aircraft. Electric and hybrid engine systems and autonomous flight technologies gained priority in Boeing's R&D labs. At the same time, digital transformation wins impacted Boeing's production lines. AI-supported quality control, robotic assembly systems, and simulation-based testing processes were implemented, improving not only product quality, but also production speed and cost-effectiveness. In the post-737 MAX era, Boeing became more assertive in the technological race against competitors like Airbus, especially in rivalry with Airbus's A320neo series, prompting bolder innovations. The 737 MAX will remain one of the most complex and instructive stories in aviation history. Although it had great potential as an engineering and design success, it became living proof of how mistakes, poor communication, and risk mismanagement can lead to tragic consequences. Boeing had to question not only technical problems, but also corporate culture and business practices. For the aviation sector, this experience taught that safety and transparency must always be top priorities. It became clear that pilot, technician, and engineer feedback must be valued at the highest levels. It was re-emphasized that innovation must proceed quickly and competitively, but never at the expense of safety. The 737 MAX crisis caused deep technical, economic, cultural, and social impacts. Public perceptions of aircraft safety and the aviation industry changed worldwide. Passengers began learning many technical details they had never noticed before. For many, flying became a more complicated and sometimes frightening experience. At the same time, the 737 MAX story served as a reminder of human error and organizational vulnerability. Yet this crisis also encouraged aviation professionals to become more careful, diligent, and responsible. The aircraft will be remembered not only as a landmark in aviation history, but also as an unforgettable case study in business ethics and corporate responsibility. Boeing's 737 MAX became much more than a machine. It engraved itself into memory as a turning point in modern aviation history, a dramatic experience at the intersection of engineering and corporate culture. Two tragedies, followed by remediation efforts, the company's transformation journey, and hopes for the future. All these made the 737 MAX not just an airplane, but an important lesson for humanity. This aircraft not only pushed the boundaries of technology, but also showed how organizations can neglect the human factor and ethical responsibilities. Nevertheless, Boeing's efforts to recover and renew after this enormous crisis became a beacon of hope for the industry. So, what are your thoughts about the Boeing 737 MAX? What's the most striking experience or surprising fact you've learned about this aircraft? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's discuss. Because this is not just a plane story, it's a matter we all need to talk about regarding safety, innovation, and humanity.